They say when it starts making sense, then every shilling counts.
Indeed, every shilling does count. However, there's a more important question that we need to ask ourselves. What counts more? Is it the physical amount or is it your mindset?
Doesn't matter how much it is, but where you put it and what you do with it.
Starting this and every Thursday, join us on our live stream from 7 to 9 p.m. as we discuss matters money, business and wealth creation on our live stream only on Metro Business Café.
Everything in this world has energy, the physical and non-physical. So even money has energy.
Okay.
And simply put, money has feelings. Yes.
Money has feelings.
Money has feelings.
Tell us how.
All right. If you do not take care of your money, it will run away from you.
Oh my.
All right? It's just like having a relationship. If you treat the other person badly, if you don't take good care of them, what will happen?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you don't take care of your money, it will run away from you. That's guaranteed.
You know for sure this is the specific goal that I want to achieve. Mm-hmm. We say now, we no longer want to say that I'm saving for a rainy day. Whatever you want to achieve must be very specific. Then what you do, you always make sure that you strive to increase your assets. And remember again, looking at what we defined assets are, is anything that puts money into your pocket. Into your pocket. Mm. So the idea here is, can we save, and try as much as possible, reduce on our liabilities or anything that removes money from your pocket.
So number one, a plan in the mind is not a plan. A plan you need to sit down and put it down, thinking through the end, from where you are to where you want to achieve. That's a plan, not in your head. Don't tell yourself, I'll start going to the gym. You need to be very specific.
It's in your mind.
It's in your mind, yes.
Yeah.
Sit down and write it, because by virtue of you writing, you are actually magnifying the power of your mind to attract it further.
The law of attraction. So the mind attracts what you start thinking about.
That's it.
So if you want to be this person in 50 years' time, you need to start thinking about it now.
Exactly. You need to think about, in terms of revenue, let's say daily or short term. Mm-hmm. Then you can have mid-term and you can have long-term. Mm-hmm. So as you're planning your life going forward, you know you need to eat today, you need to pay rent and all those things. Mm. So those come here, school fees and so forth. Mid, we are starting to look at things like, I'd like to pay school fees for high school or university and things like those. So again, you're thinking from the end. And then the long term, when you retire, what do you wish to have? In the next 20 years after you retire, where would you like to be? Mm. Now, once you create this one, you write down these things. Very, very key for you to write them down. Now, once you write them down, start attaching each one of them towards an asset.
Okay.
Okay? So you cannot go get, you can't go buy land with the expectation that it's going to increase in value and expect it to give you your daily usage or short term. All right? However, if you want long term, you can think about shares. So these are secrets that can help you develop your plan. But make sure as you write them down, you attach all of them into assets. You don't have to have them today. Remember, you're creating your life going forward. So you can say long term, I'd like to have 1, 2, 3 assets. That's what I'm targeting. Midterm, I'm looking at this 1, 2, 3, like that. So in terms of goals and goal setting, this is what we call long-term goals. This is what we call short-term goals. And this is what we call the current ones. Okay? And all this, you have to start from the end, working backwards.
There is an opportunity lost when you have cash that is just lying idle. This money should earn some income for you.
And you know, by the way, we are very proud of ourselves.
Yes.
I included. We're very proud of ourselves, and I say, Maze, nime save 500,000.
Yes.
Niko na ka 500,000 sai. Kakoko matches.
So and again, it's also very important to share with our viewers that a shilling today is worth more than a shilling tomorrow.
Say that again.
Yes. A shilling today is worth more than a shilling tomorrow. So if someone owes you money and for whatever reason is not able to pay today, say 100,000, if he pays you a year later, probably what you have paid you is about 90,000, but not 100,000. Because of what we call time value of money. The money that you have today depreciates. The same way you have a vehicle that because of running, yes, there is that wear and tear. What we call inflation affects the value of the money that we have today.
If you do not design your life, by default, you'll end up following someone else's path. So whether it's financial freedom you're looking for, any other thing, it's you. And following someone else, you do not know where they're heading, you're never gonna feel satisfied with this life. So it's upon you to actually design your life. You can't change the destiny of where you want to go overnight, but you can change the direction overnight. Everything in this world has energy, the physical and non-physical. So even money has energy.
Okay.
And simply put, money has feelings. Yes.
Money has feelings.
Money has feelings.
Tell us how.
All right. If you do not take care of your money, it will run away from you.
Oh my.
All right? It's just like having a relationship. If you treat the other person badly, if you don't take good care of them, what will happen?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So if you don't take care of your money, it will run away from you. That's guaranteed. Everything in this world has energy, the physical and non-physical. So even money has energy.
Okay.
And simply put, money has feelings. Yes.
Money has feelings.
Money has feelings.
Tell us how.
All right. If you do not take care of your money, it will run away from you.
Oh my.
All right? It's just like having a relationship. If you treat the other person badly, if you don't take good care of them, what will happen?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you don't take care of your money, it will run away from you. That's guaranteed.
You know for sure this is the specific goal that I want to achieve. We say now we no longer want to say that I'm saving for a rainy day. Whatever you want to achieve must be very specific. Then what you do, you always make sure that you strive to increase your assets. And remember again, looking at what we defined assets are, is anything that puts money into your pocket. Into your pocket. So the idea here is, can we save, and try as much as possible, reduce on our liabilities or anything that removes money from your pocket.
So number one, a plan in the mind is not a plan. A plan you need to sit down and put it down, thinking through the end, from where you are to where you want to achieve. That's a plan, not in your head. Don't tell yourself, I'll start going to the gym. You need to be very specific.
It's in your mind.
It's in your mind, yes.
Yeah.
Sit down and write it, because by virtue of you writing, you are actually magnifying the power of your mind to attract it further. When you're setting your goals, make sure they are SMART.
SMART.
So this is an acronym that helps your thinking process to actually aim for that bullseye. So S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for attainable, R stands for relevant, and T stands for time. When you're very specific about something, the mind is very clear. This is what you want. Measurable is a way of telling you, do you have a way of how you can measure how you're progressing? So attainable, it should be something that you vividly know that I can attain this within a specific period. Okay? So you're not lying to yourself, you're being real to yourself about, because you're the only one who knows yourself, your personality. Okay? Now relevant is that the goals that you set must be aligned to your values and your long-term objectives. And then finally, time-bound.
Yes.
So that's what we're talking about, the end, and you break it down into long-term, mid-term, short-term, and possibly on a daily basis. You'll start finding your life taking off. if you do not design your life, by default, you'll end up following someone else's path. So whether it's financial freedom you're looking for, any other thing, it's you. And following someone else, you do not know where they're heading, you're never gonna feel satisfied with this life. So it's upon you to actually design your life. You can't change the destiny of where you want to go overnight, but you can change the direction overnight. Everything in this world has energy, the physical and non-physical. So even money has energy.
Okay.
And simply put, money has feelings. Yes.
Money has feelings.
Money has feelings.
Tell us how.
All right. If you do not take care of your money, it will run away from you.
Oh my.
All right? It's just like having a relationship. If you treat the other person badly, if you don't take good care of them, what will happen?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you don't take care of your money, it will run away from you. That's guaranteed.
You know for sure this is the specific goal that I want to achieve. We say now we no longer want to say that I'm saving for a rainy day. Whatever you want to achieve must be very specific. Then what you do, you always make sure that you strive to increase your assets. And remember again, looking at what we defined assets are, is anything that puts money into your pocket. Into your pocket. So the idea here is, can we save, and try as much as possible, reduce on our liabilities or anything that removes money from your pocket.
So number one, a plan in the mind is not a plan. A plan you need to sit down and put it down, thinking through the end, from where you are to where you want to achieve. That's a plan, not in your head. Don't tell yourself, I'll start going to the gym. You need to be very specific.
It's in your mind.
It's in your mind, yes.
Yeah.
Sit down and write it, because by virtue of you writing, you are actually magnifying the power of your mind to attract it further.
The law of attraction. So the mind attracts what you start thinking about.
That's it.
So if you want to be this person in 50 years' time, you need to start thinking about it now.
Exactly. You need to think about, in terms of revenue, let's say daily or short term. Then you can have mid-term and you can have long term. So as you're planning your life going forward, you know you need to eat today, you need to pay rent and all those things. So those come here, school fees and so forth. Mid, we are starting to look at things like, I'd like to pay school fees for high school or university and things like those. So again, you're thinking from the end, and then the long term. When you retire, what do you wish to have? In the next 20 years after you retire, where would you like to be? Now, once you create this one, you write down these things. Very, very key for you to write them down. Now, once you write them down, start attaching each one of them towards an asset.
Okay.
Okay? So you cannot go get, you can't go buy land with the expectation that it's going to increase in value and expect it to give you your daily usage or short term. All right? However, if you want long term, you can think about shares. So these are secrets that can help you develop your plan. But make sure as you write them down, you attach all of them into assets. You don't have to have them today. Remember, you're creating your life going forward. So you can say long term, I'd like to have 1, 2, 3 assets. That's what I'm targeting. Midterm, I'm looking at this 1, 2, 3, like that. So in terms of goals and goal setting, this is what we call long-term goals. This is what we call short-term goals. And this is what we call the current ones. Okay? And all this, you have to start from the end, working backwards.
So it has been a week where I've been pondering on a verse in the Bible. It's Proverbs 22:7. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7. And I kept wondering, what had the writer seen during his times? And the writer says, the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is slave, or is the slave of the lender. And I started thinking about the borrower being the slave to the lender, and my mind went on a journey. Good evening. This is the Metro Business Café. I'm Michael Njenga. It's been a pleasure always being with you here every Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. That the slave, the borrower, is a slave to the lender. Welcome, Benson.
Thank you so much.
It's been a week since we last sat here. This is our 6th episode on changing the mindset about money. What is money? When you call it legal tender, when you call it currency, what are we talking about? And then again, I get into preparing for this show, and I'm thinking about the borrower being a slave to the lender. And I'm thinking, do I really need to borrow? Andrew, do I really need to borrow? If I'm a slave to the borrower. But anyway, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
Good evening and welcome.
Good evening to you. Thank you.
Say hi to the viewers tonight.
Yes, good evening, our viewers. We are here once again to take you through the very important topics that we've been taking you through. And today, we are going to share some very important insights, especially about borrowing, and again, what we call risk management. And as Mike is saying here, we want to unwind the whole concept of borrowing. Thank you, and karibu sana.
Asante.
Yeah.
Asante. Thank you very much, Benson Mwangi, CEO Metropolitan National Sacco, and we have Andrew. I'm still waiting to see what you take us through all on that board. Andrew Kibe, karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
Say hi to the viewers tonight.
Hamjamboni. I look forward to taking you through borrowing and risk management. Very, very important topics if you really want, looking forward to having financial freedom, the understanding of this is really going to help you a lot. Yes.
Maybe you take us, it's so where we say mwezi iko kwa kona.
Yes.
And this is a time when everybody now will want to come and do that car advance.
Yes.
And the reason why I was thinking about it is because in many other things that I'm doing in my businesses and everybody and everywhere else, this is a point where I find a requisition form from my accountant. He's called Phil. At Tips, he's telling me the tunataka advance. This is at that point where people want advance. Maybe take us through borrowing. What are some of the trends you have been seeing over time at the Metropolitan National Sacco? What are some of the things you have been seeing over time when it comes to, you know, with all that you have been seeing with borrowing?
Yes. Mike, I must admit that the trends have changed over the years. And previously, we could see that most of the people that used to borrow money from us, they were borrowing for, especially for long-term projects. And I think now with the hard economic times, things have changed. And what we are seeing now more often is that most people are borrowing money to take care of their short-term obligations. So mainly most of the loans being borrowed, you'll find, particularly most of the members, they will be going for the short-term loan products. And actually advances, like you have said. And actually, for example, the advance is one of our most popular products. And why it's so popular is because we have actually left the burden. I mean, we have taken all the burden from the employers, especially for all the staff members who bank with us. So we have taken that burden, and we are now processing the advances, and we are now leaving the employers to focus on their main business. Yeah, so we have seen quite an increase in the number of advances being taken by our members. Again, school fees loans, which ideally are on short-term basis. Another products that are meant to meet the short-term financial needs. And that is clearly explained also by the fact that we are also seeing most of the other digital lenders, they just start like today.
And
within
that's the thing, within a month or two.
A month, they are doing millions, hundreds of millions. And that tells you there's a big gap that needs to be addressed, especially when it comes to short-term financial needs. And I believe the topic that you're going to take through our viewers and our customers will greatly assist them as far as making short-term decisions.
Short-term decision about borrowing.
Exactly.
And I know tonight, of course, you'll be taking us back a little bit what we learned last week, and then what we'll be doing tonight. Tonight we'll be talking about borrowing. This is something I've really been looking forward. This is a topic I've really been looking forward. Ever since the day in our first episode, you talked about, we'll talk about good borrowing and bad borrowing. And you hear Mr. Mwangi saying that, you know what, we have a lot of these lending platforms. You know, Shylocks are all over. I mean, you wouldn't understand what is going on, but we have hundreds of thousands of Shylocks all over telling you can get a loan within 4 hours. You know, but to our viewers back at home, remember, if you'd like to talk to us, our SMS line is 0790 000 333. 0790 000 333 is our SMS line. You can still use the same number to send us your WhatsApp message. 0790 000 333 is our line. I'm looking forward to hearing from you tonight as we discuss about it. Andrew, before you really take us to what we have tonight, just take us back just a little on the topic we were discussing last week on our 5th episode. And remember, that's a topic that due to public demand, we had to redo it again. Just a little bit, just touching on a few points on what we spoke about last week.
Okay, the key highlights about the last episode, which was goals and goal setting, was basically trying to connect how we started through the mind and saying that you're a creator of, whatever it is that you choose. So if you want wealth, you need to understand that it starts from your mind. And your mind only attracts what you're thinking about. So if you do not know what really you want, then the mind also gets confused. So we concluded by saying that the more precise you are in what you want, you're actually making the work very easy for the mind to bring it to you. And that's why we said the art of thinking from the end, working backwards. So you start by being articulate exactly what it is that you want at the end. The more you're very precise, it's easier for you. Because now the mind knows that is exactly what this person wants. Then now you work backwards. So you start now breaking down the long-term goal into medium and short-term. And we said even make it even on a daily basis. And if you make that practice, you'll start realizing how time flies.
So work from
the end, working backwards.
Backward.
The problem with most people is they move forward thinking they're not even very clear about what they want in the future. And that's why it's so easy to get distracted with things. So if tomorrow I come and tell you there's this investment that has come about that is making 100% returns, if you're someone who works from here going forward, you'll start paying attention to me because you're not so sure where you're going. To you, to feel this is a good investment. So it's easy to get off the road. But if you define what you want, then you're walking your path. So if you come and tell me 100%, I'll tell myself, no, that doesn't sound like something that fits into my path because I'm very clear about the end result. So I'll tell you, no, pass, stop distracting me from where I'm heading to. And that was the conclusion for our last episode.
So if I want to go to, let's say, for example, Malindi, and this, when you said start working from, the end, then because when I want to go to Malindi, I first of all think Malindi.
Exactly.
So I see Malindi in my mind.
Right.
That's where I want to be.
Exactly.
I know how many kilometers, So I know I want to be there for a business meeting.
Yes.
So I need to be there the shortest time possible, where I won't be tired to think about what I'm going there for. So that will explain to me if do I drive, do I take a flight, do I take a train and then go and
correct.
I can even walk, depending on what we'll be doing.
Exactly.
Then tonight we were talking about borrowing, and I'm seeing Joanne Toomey is online tonight. Thank you very much, Joanne. She says short-term loan products are very popular but expensive. How can one avoid them? Borrowing, good and bad. The platform is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. Now, borrowing is such a very important topic. And the reason why I'm saying that is I want viewers to understand this. The wealthiest people in this world never use their money to make more money. They use other people's money to make more money. So underline that, and you'll understand why after I take you through what I'm going to take you through. The wealthy people don't use their money to make more money. They use other people's money to make more money. So this is how it works. And I'm going to give an example that I want us to think through. So I want to help your mind understand the thinking process so that you're able to appreciate it more. Now, I want you to imagine yourself being Bwana CEO. So assume you're seated in his office, and 4 people come to your office. The first person is called A, the second one is called B, third one C, and the third one is called D. Now, these 4 people would like to borrow, let's say, 100,000 from you. Okay? Now, what is the first thing you'll do? That's what you need to ask yourself. Now, you have no history about these people. That's the assumption you're starting with. So you know nothing about them, but each one of them wants 100,000. So you think about it and, maybe given the small intelligence you gather, the due diligence, you decide, I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to give each one of them that 100,000. Okay? So we're assuming here this is January and this is December. So the agreement is You're going to give them this 100,000, but they're supposed to return that money by December with interest. Okay? So assume you've dispersed this money to A, B, C, and D. Now, naturally, what will you start doing immediately you give out that money? The thing you'll start doing is, you'll start observing their payments. Are they paying according to the agreements you had? All right? So as you keep watching that, the question becomes, why are you doing that? It's because, number one, what we're calling risk management. So you're trying to be very careful that you don't lose your money. And since you knew nothing about these people, but you've taken the risk of dispersing that amount to them, you want to start observing their payment habits. So let's assume this person called A pays around October. Person B pays exactly in December. Person C, due to some reason, extends it, let's say to June of next year, and pays around here. Person D passes another year in December and eventually defaults. That means he's not able to pay the amount. Okay? Now, you seated where Bwana CEO is, what will be your conclusion about these four people? All right? So from where you're sitting, I want you to imagine 5 years down the line, the four of them come back to you. And each one of them wants an equivalent amount of loan of 100,000. So the question to you, Mike, is this. Of these four people, who would you consider first when they come the second time?
I mean, have the A guy.
A guy?
Yes.
Why?
This person,
Has already demonstrated that.
they know what they're doing, they know where they're headed, and they're good borrowers.
Okay.
And most probably, they had a specific,
Okay.
place where they're taking the money so it can regenerate. My thinking.
Right. So would you agree with me that that payment is starting to demonstrate a character about each?
Yes.
Good. Now, you said you'll give A the second time. What about B?
Well,
B you can give, but probably you can decide to reduce the amount.
Remember, the agreement you had is they're supposed to return this money by December. So this person has paid on the time you actually agreed. So why would you hesitate?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
Okay?
Yeah.
Good. What about C?
Oh, see,
Consideration with reservations.
with
Aha,
very
I like
high
the word.
reservations.
Consideration with?
Reservations.
Now, what about D?
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Bad debt.
Yeah.
Okay. So these three, when it comes to borrowing, these are the four types of characters that we have. Now remember, I said everything starts from the mind. Because whatever you start instilling in your mind from when you're very small builds your character, it builds your habit. So when you're a kid and you probably borrow a pencil from your friend and you don't return it, what character are you starting to build here?
Yeah. The D character.
You don't return it.
Don't return.
Okay.
Yes.
So as you proceed on doing that with small things, what you don't realize you're building in you is the time will come when you'll need money to borrow. But it's something you've developed in your subconscious mind. So defaulting becomes automatic for you. Don't lie to yourself because you can't return those pencils. Money will be something different. The character doesn't know.
It will still be the same.
It will still be the same. And this is the danger of us not teaching the young ones about borrowing from when they're very young. So when you think about what we said, by default, we raise people to be spenders. Okay?
Yes.
So it's spending, spending, spending. There's nowhere we teach our children or our young ones about this. So if for some reason they're not able to understand the bad borrowings when you're very small and you're not returning those things, this is where they're heading to.
Defaulters.
Exactly.
Yes.
So in the language of borrowing, these two people are the ones we're referring to as the good borrowers. And these two people here are the ones we're referring as the bad
Borrowers.
borrowers. Okay?
Yes.
Now, the danger becomes here. You find university students, you've come out from your parents' house, you've gone to college, there's that thing of now I'm independent. All right? So you get your ID after finishing school, you get a phone, and then you get all these apps coming around.
Yes.
So you're probably, most of them are driven with things like betting and all that. So someone takes a loan of 200 shillings. Wanting to bet, then things go south. So you start receiving calls, hey, you need to pay back this money. So to them, hii ni pesa kidogo sana. Mbona unanisumbua?
So mbili. So
it goes on, eventually you default. What you don't realize is this is what you're demonstrating. Which now brings me to the second part.
Is this where now, sorry, to interject. Is this where now I start getting into Benson's books of,
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
This is where I'm going with this.
Okay.
Now, what most people do not know is the following. If this is Metropolitan National Sacco, so let's take those 4 characters we've talked about. For every borrowing that you take, there's actually a record that is developed about you.
Okay.
And that report speaks about your payment habits. So whether you're A, B, C, or D, they still create that report. And that report goes somewhere where we can call it a central place. And it's stored there. Okay? If you borrow from an app, even if it's 100 shillings, that report comes here. If it's another Sacco, that report comes here. If it's a microfinance, that report comes here. If it's a bank, that report comes here. In fact, where they're heading to, next is going to be KPLC. Si watu wanaombaga stima?
My power bills.
Yes.
My goodness.
There's copper stima.
Copper stima and all those things.
Yes. So if you default, what most people don't know is that it's going to this central place.
Yes.
So in short, I'm going to use the word anything to do with credit. Any borrowing, there's a report that goes to a central place. Now this central place is what is referred to as CRB.
Okay.
Credit Reference Bureau. Now what most people don't know is this central place, if now I go to Metropolitan National Sacco and I borrow, this report in a central place can be accessed by all these people.
Yes.
Because I want to know my habits.
Now remember when I started with this one, I asked you, these 4 people have walked into Mr. Benson's office. So you seated in that seat, you'll ask yourself, what do I know about these people? So the first thing you'll do is what? You'll check here.
Refer to CRB.
Exactly. Yes. Because now this gives me a reference point of your character. So if I find your name is not there, I'll be forced to use other judgments to make the decision on whether to give you the loan or not. So if the first time you borrow this, that says your name is going to appear here. So it's your decision to decide whether you want to appear as a good borrower or
a bad borrower.
But most people don't know that. And that's why I told you the young people you find, the sombili too. What you don't realize, your name has gone here as a bad borrower. So utapuuza hiyo kiwa university, you're going to start a job, and things are going to go well, then one day you'll find yourself in a position where you want to borrow something or money to do something very important.
Yes.
Even let's assume you have someone who's very sick in the hospital. Okay? So you shasa ulikuwa umechukuaga a couple of years ago. So you go to your bank and your bank tells you, "We are sorry, you're listed." And you start scratching yourself. Sasa listing ni nini? You're trying to find out what's going on here. But the time when you come to decide to find out what was going on, you start now feeling like only 200 is what has caused all this.
It may look little
Yes.
amount of money,
Yes.
but it has put you into very bad books.
To very bad books. And this is now where the problem really comes in. So let's first talk about that report. So that report that goes here is what is referred to as the credit report. Okay?
Yeah.
And that credit report has a score. It doesn't matter how you look at the score, but the idea behind it is it moves from one edge to the other. So this side will be reflecting a character of good borrowing, and this side is going to be reflecting a character of bad borrowing. So the score they give is what is referred to as the credit score. Okay?
Yes.
So if I go to Mr. Benson and I want a loan, the first thing he's going to go is here. So quickly he's going to check on my records. So if you look at the score, you'll realize this guy is around here. So that tells Mr. Benson, huyo,
Hatutaki.
hatutaki huyo. You get?
Atatusumbua huyo.
If you're here, then like, this is what I really want. Okay? So the discussion here becomes, where do you want to be? Okay? And that's your decision. So from when you're very young, or from where you are today, you are definitely in one of these four. Now remember, I started by saying the wealthy people never use their money. They use other people's money. Okay?
Yes.
So it means there's a character, there's a secret they realized, and they crafted themselves to build a certain type of being here.
Yeah.
Because if you're here, it means if I walk to Mr. Benson's office, he will even welcome me with a hug.
Oh, please, have a seat.
Have
Take
a
some
seat.
coffee.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right? So now we say, let's avoid these two. Now we ask ourselves, between these ones, which one should we strive for?
So therefore, Andrew, there is a word of caution.
Yes.
Because I've seen some of us, we have kids who are not yet above 18 years, so
Yes.
they don't have an ID.
Exactly.
So you go and buy a SIM card, a Safaricom SIM card,
Yeah.
and then you give your kid the SIM card.
Oh, yes, you have.
Then the kid goes and borrows money from the app, doesn't even tell you, and you end up in CRB.
Getting yourself into... And then we have some very funny characters who are calling people. I don't know if you've heard.
Yes.
Somebody went and borrowed money and put you as as a reference person or a referee.
Yes. Very true.
So you're getting calls that hii mtu yako bana alipagi mateni.
Yes, it's very true. And I like the example Sio's just talked about, because I personally know someone who's retired and he did that to the child. Kamnunulia SIM card akampatia, and that caused a lot of trouble because the name that is appearing there is
His
name.
Okay?
Yes.
So that's a very, thank you for that. That's a caution most parents needs to be very aware of. Okay? Now, so with this one, the next thing that I'd like to point out to our viewers today is there are times these institutions make a mistake.
Yes.
Okay? And they can be a very good borrower, but someone keys something that puts you here. Okay? And so once in a while, if you go through news, you're going to see quite, people claiming to take institutions to court and things like those ones. And so the idea is where risk management also comes in. How often do you check your credit score? How often do you check your credit reports? So
As
for
an
example,
individual or as an institution?
as an individual, let's start
So
from
as
there.
an Hold it. So as an individual,
Yes.
I'm supposed to be checking my credit scores.
Exactly. Remember, these institutions can make a mistake. And this is something that goes on. Someone sits and knows I'm good. I always pay on time. Then all of a sudden, a nice deal shows up. You know, probably someone who's desperate, needs some money, wants to dispose of an asset at a very reduced price. And so you being someone who's always watching for opportunities, you feel like I can go for this asset, I can buy it at the bargain price, and then take some time to sell it at the value at which it is,
Yes.
and you make the profit around that. But you don't have liquid money with you. So what do? You call Mr. Benson. Hello, Mr. Benson. I'd like to borrow some amount because I want to purchase 1, 2, 3, 4. So Benson tells you, okay, great, do the application. So you do that, then they come back and tell you, sorry, you're listed. And you go like, what do you mean? I've been paying all my amount all the time. So before the 2 and 4, before you establish what's going on, you realize one of these made a mistake. And instead of having you here, they ended up having you here. So by the time when you rectify that problem, that opportunity is gone.
It's gone. Yes.
So what does that teach you? It tells you at least once every year, make sure that you're always checking what your credit report says and what your credit score is.
How do I do it as an individual? Not forget institutions. As an individual who's seated at home watching us.
Yeah.
You know, Metropolitan National Sacco members are all watching us tonight.
Yes.
And I mean, the reason why they are with Metropolitan National Sacco is so that there's a day. But you told us we forget rainy days.
Yes.
But there's a day this person will need some money.
Yes.
And then they'll go to Benson. Benson will say, no, we can't give you because how does that individual check their credit score?
And before you respond to his query, I think it's also very important for us to clarify that when information has been shared with CRB, and that's what you're saying, listing,
yes,
most of us, we take it like we have been listed negatively.
Yeah.
But ideally, what we as Metropolitan National Sacco and all of the other financial institutions are meant to do, we are supposed to share that information, whether positive or negative.
With me?
With now the Credit Reference Bureau.
Okay.
So that now the other financial institutions that would consider extending credit to you, they can be able to access that information. And that's how the whole aspect of scoring comes in. Whether you're a good borrower or a bad borrower.
Oh, so whether I'm on good books or in bad books,
yes,
you have to share.
Exactly.
So that when I refer as an individual,
yes,
I'll get to know where I stand.
Yes, so that the benefits that you enjoy by virtue of being a good borrower, you enjoy those benefits in another financial institution when you go for credit.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent. In fact, when CRB was created, they only used to focus on these people. That's the history of it.
Yes.
And that's why people have a very negative perspective about CRB. Because it only used to deal with the bad borrowers. But then these guys started complaining. Why are you only listing the people who are bad and some of us are so good? So that goodness of ours should be viewed by other institutions as well. And so they start encouraging also now sharing both the negative
and the
positive.
Yes.
Yeah. So the more positive you are, and this is the secret, assume now I've borrowed the first time from Bwana Benson, and I pay earlier. What does that do to Metropolitan? What it does is, it gives them this window of using the money I've paid to make more money. Okay?
Yes.
So they'll be attracted to characters who have the A. Okay? So if you're smart, you start building that character of paying earlier. The more frequent you borrow and you pay earlier, your scores keeps going up. And you become very attractive to financial institutions. Okay? They'll even start looking for you. And that's what the wealthy people know.
I think generally what Andrew is telling us is the same way we have students. An A student will enjoy certain privileges.
A B student.
B, again, C, like that.
So that's the same thing
Yes.
when it comes to credit.
Yes.
Exactly.
But bring me, just a minute.
Yeah.
You are also employing at the same time, because you employ, you have new
Members joining us,
coming in.
yes.
You have members coming in, you have people who... now, I want us to go back to this young person who thought, ni sombili tu. Sombili, anashinda kiniambia hapa sombili. Okay? So this guy goes to high school, and then goes to the university, and then after that, he gets into what we call tamaking.
Yes.
And at some point, Metropolitan National Sacco, it so happens you're employing.
Yes.
Now, when this young person comes to be employed,
Yes.
do you refer to their CRB status?
Yes. Nowadays, it's a requirement. The same way you'd expect that you present a certificate of good conduct.
Yes.
To show that your character is in good standing. So this is a requirement, especially in government institutions. You can't get a job. Because, especially in financial institutions, if you're not able to take care of your own money, then how do we expect that when you come to us and you're a financial institution, you'll be able to take care of money that belongs to other people? Yes, that's the argument.
My goodness. So to our viewers tonight, and thank you very much to all of you who are talking to us, both on social media, both I'm seeing a lot of guys on YouTube tonight, on Facebook. Thank you very much. Have guys who are talking to us on 0790 000 333. Thank you very much. Just to remind you, it is not just borrowing, because you need a kapat, wacha tuekele kamzinga. For the young people, wacha tuekele kamzinga, pap, I go and borrow on these applications.
Correct.
It means the day you will want to go looking for a job, that employer will still go back to CRB to check your habits. So please,
Correct.
to check your habits. I think we needed to clear that.
Yes.
Because they are the same ones who will come for internship.
Yes.
He's gone
Internship, jobs.
jobs and all
Job
that.
interviews
stuff.
and all
Job
that.
interviews.
Yes.
So you will still refer to CRB.
It's actually part of those prerequisite documents that most employers will ask at the point of engagement.
Hey, okay.
Yep.
As we move on, keep
Yes. So just to add on to what Bonner Benson has mentioned, it's very true. And it's actually the positions in the management level and above, it's become a requirement. In fact, you'll be surprised, like now, next year we're heading for general elections. You cannot vie for any seat if you're listed.
Okay.
So if you'll find, like, as we approach elections, a lot of them will be running to CRBs to try and clear.
Because it goes to chapter 6 of the Constitution, integrity.
Integrity.
Exactly.
This is what they call the fit and proper test.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what's starting to happen now, it's starting even to come lower below the management level. Although I know there's some discussions going on, I think CBK is intervening to this to have a minimum amount at which people can be listed. But that's talks which are going on, so I don't know how much that has actually proceeded. Anyway, so to your question, Mike, you're asking how will people know about their... Yeah.
As an individual, how do I go and get to know?
Exactly. So this is quite easy. Just call one of the CRBs. There are 3 of them currently in our country, or visit their website, and it's just straightforward. They have ways of how you can even apply online for it, and the amounts you need to pay for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know of this Metropolitan.
Metropol.
Oh, Metropol, sorry.
TransUnion.
And then there's TransUnion, which is currently, they changed the name to, I can't remember the name. And then there's another one called Credit Info from South Africa. So those 3. Yeah. All right. So with that, now I want now to move to the next part, whereby I want to demonstrate something here. Now, I talked about the 3 cash flowing habits, and I'm quickly going to bring that thing up. Excuse me on that. So we had income, expense, asset, liability, income, expense, asset, liability. So we talked about this one, and remember we said about the 3 cash flowing habits.
Yes.
But when we did that, we were looking at it from a point of view, it's your money, because it was coming from the cash flow quadrant.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Now we want to use the same logic, but this time we're going to say we are borrowing money from a Sacco.
Or instead of now the cash flow quadrant.
So instead
of employment, small business,
yes,
big business,
yes,
and
so
investment.
The way
now I'm borrowing.
Exactly. So here money was yours. Okay? Now we talked about someone who earns money and then he decides to use all of it for, a wedding. And we felt this person is really financially literate. Okay?
So I'm borrowing.
We've not even gone there. We're saying it's your money.
Oh, it's
initially
my money.
what we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So using all this money, it's coming out. This is what we call the first cash flow habit.
Yes.
And we saw how bad that can be. Okay? Now, let's now bring in the borrowing aspect of that. Now, the interesting thing is, if you borrow money, it comes in here as income, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So the first cash flow habit, again, you'll find people doing this. Habit 1. The second one is exactly what we had. It comes to buy liabilities, and liabilities comes out. So this is cash flow 2. The third one, it comes here, then it comes to purchase an asset, and this asset brings some money here.
As income.
As income.
Yes.
Now look at the danger around this. So if you borrow money here and you decide to go for a trip in Dubai, the question is, how will you pay this back?
So I've borrowed, I've taken the most expensive flight,
Yes.
I've gone out, kula mishikaki nikarudi.
Exactly.
So, and I need to pay
This.
Yes.
How many people borrow money to do weddings?
There's so many.
Here you go. How will they pay it back? We move on to the next one. People borrow money to buy a car. Okay? The question becomes, this car is consuming. How will you pay this back?
Okay. So I've borrowed, I've bought a motor vehicle.
Yes. And it's always consuming
It
money
has
out of your
insurance,
pockets. Exactly.
fuel,
No more wear and tear.
wear and tear.
Repairs.
So how do you pay for it? But if you come to the third one, this makes sense, because this income coming from assets can then be used to start paying this.
The obligation.
So the point here is, when we talked about looking at the cash flow quadrant from our end, and we felt even though it's your money and you're following cash flow number 1, we felt that is financially literate. Now ask yourself this one now, who's borrowing? And so the psychology behind our people is, niko na kazi, nitajua tu vile ndaisort. And that's why unapata watu wengi kazi kiisha hivi, within 3 months, they've really slumped down because of this 2 cash flowing habits. And this is what the wealthy understand that most of us do not understand on this end. Okay? And now this brings the power, and that's why I said the secret towards building wealth, irrespective of your age, is focusing on building cash flowing assets. Because these cash flowing assets will be able to offset what we have on
liabilities.
this end. Okay?
Okay.
And that now brings me to the last part that I want to tackle today. And now what I want to show you is we have, let's say, a financial institution here. So a financial institution basically relies on two groups of people. So on the left-hand side, we have people we call savers.
All depositors.
Or depositors. And on this other end, we have people who we call borrowers. And when I talk about borrowers, I'm going to refer to the good borrowers.
Yes.
Because they do not want anything to do with the bad borrowers.
Okay.
So these two people are the ones who stand on the right-hand side of financial institutions, okay? Now, these ones, according to the cash flow quadrant, these are where the 95% are. These are the people on the left-hand side. And these ones are the people who on the right-hand side were 5%. So why this? These people save for a rainy day because that's how they are programmed. So what is in the mind is, let me just save. Okay? If you ask them why, a rainy day, what's a rainy day? They start scratching their head. So the mind is not so clear as to why they're saving.
Yes.
Okay? So what we say, at Dreamers we say, this is a poor mindset. And this here, I'm going to call it a wealthy mindset. What is the difference between these two people? It's not the physical cash. It's a programming that is going on in their mind. So these people, the thing that is at the root of their mind is save. Okay? So that's what's in the middle of their mind. These guys on this other end, what's deeply in their mind is ideas. They are not concerned about money. Their concern is, what's the next thing I can do? Because they know why. Once I get hold of that idea, Mr. Benson
Will give me the money.
will give me the money.
So they're not at all worried
They're not worried.
for those rainy days.
And do you know why? Because they have built
They are
this.
students.
Okay? That's why they're not worried. So to them, the focus is always ideas. What's the next big thing? Okay? So they know no matter how much I'm going to be charged for interest, this idea is so big I'll be able to pay back. And you can see this is what reflects here. Because those ideas are assets. Okay? So what am I trying to teach the members of Metropolitan National Circles and other viewers? This is where now we talked about goals and goal setting.
Goals and goal setting.
So we said, don't just save for the sake of it. If you start saving with a very specific goal, and we say that goal should be an investment towards a cash flowing asset, you stop having a poor mindset. You start now accumulating towards here.
Wealth.
Okay? So for me today, my advice will be, from all the teachings I've given you, set yourself a goal that you must achieve by the end of this year. So as you're saving at Metropolitan here, save with that drive of, I need to reach this amount of money
Yes.
so that I can buy my first cash flowing asset. And Buonasio has told us they're very open to that. Last week we had someone who called and he was asking, what do I do with this $500,000?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And I'm
He
glad.
has saved and
Yes, and I'm glad he called, and they actually in the process of him depositing that amount of money. So now the question becomes, what's your goal by the end of this year?
What am I saving towards?
Yes.
Okay.
So what will happen is, if you go back to that diagram I drew for you, when you're talking about the money cycle, we talked about you have your cash flow quadrant. So the first thing is you earn, then we talked about save.
Then
and he
spend.
said save is going towards cash flowing assets.
Assets.
So the trick here was,
And cash flowing asset is any asset that is bringing you money.
Yes.
on a regularly
On a
basis.
regular, okay.
So let's take an example of that person who deposited the 500. So that's the first source of income. So now, if he's gearing towards having the first cash flowing asset, by December, it means in January this one will start bringing money here.
So he'll start earning it.
So now we have a second one.
Yes.
Then he goes back and saves with Metropolitan National Sacco, targeting a second cash flowing asset. Then this will start generating the third one. And you keep recycling like that. Before you know it, this money, so you stop working for money and money starts working for you.
Yes.
Now that's what the wealthy people know. So it will get to a point whereby this person will start shifting from even not focusing here but here. Because revenue is coming in. So like now, if I call Mr. Benson, I know I can get a loan of up to 1 million. So I know money is there. So let me just focus now on what's the next big thing I can do. And the next thing big you're talking about are this. And that's why it's so important to think from the end, working your way backwards.
Yes.
And that's precisely what the wealthy people do. So we say, those who are saving for any day, you're actually creating liquid for the wealthy people to come and take it, to make money and return it here. So it's a mindset.
So the rich will always rule the poor.
Let's use the word wealthy. Because we saw the rich people eventually, if they lose their jobs or their, their companies, they come crashing down because to them is here.
So the wealthy will always rule the poor because they're waiting for you to go and save
And
the hard-earned cash.
Yes.
And that's where your verse in the Bible comes
Yes.
into place. Yes.
They're waiting for me. Now, somebody says, I have somebody here, Lucas. Lucas says, you have discussed how one can find his credit score. Can you please tackle how one can come out of that credit reference bureau? Probably he's saying he's found himself in there.
Yeah.
We have tackled how
Yes.
Yeah.
he's found himself in there.
Okay.
Now the way out.
So I'm going to assume he's listed
Yes.
in a negatively, okay?
Negatively. Yes.
So basically what that boils to is the topic we had last week, goals. So the goal is very clear. I want to come out of CRB. I want to get my name out of that. So what do? Come up with a plan. So the end result is I want to come out. So you ask yourself, how much do I owe whichever institution that is? Now, how do I plan to pay this debt off? Because as long as you've not paid that debt, that name is going to stay there. Okay? So once you realize that, then you work a plan backwards again. And once you're happy and comfortable with that plan, you stick to it. Remember we said a plan without actions won't yield any results. So now you keep following that plan until you're able to finally pay off. So once you pay off, then you approach the CRB, and of course now the institution where you borrowed that money is going out to do a letter to show that you've cleared. And that's what you present now to CRB. However, I have to mention something else. The moment you finish paying off that amount, okay, your name does not come out automatically.
It's not, I finish today and tomorrow I'm out.
No.
It takes 7 years.
It actually takes 7 years for your name to...
You talking about 7 years?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I've
And that's why we said when you started, my people perish due to lack of...
Knowledge.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Just put a full stop there. Because you are here, we keep hearing jokes.
Yes.
I'm seated there, I'm catching a pint,
Yeah.
one or two before I go home. And somebody comes in, they're looking very worried and scared. And, we're asking, hey, what's up? What's going on? And he takes a sip, says, you know what? wamenieka kwa CRB.
Yes.
And then another guy on the other end of the bar, was seated at the counter, laughs, you know, a hearty laugh. Kuna mwanaume hayuko kwa CRB. And then you're telling me, wanaume wote, all of them,
yes,
for 7 years, Benson.
Even if they updated their accounts, just the way Andrew has explained to us, at most what will happen is that the record will be updated, but it will have that history that at some point you defaulted along with this and this institution.
So tell me,
yes,
as an institution, Metropolitan National Sacco,
yes,
I have genuine borrowing. I want to genuinely borrow because there's somewhere we're putting money into. There's something we want to do. And you walk in there into those books, and I'm there. So what happens? As much as I've cleared, my name is still there.
Yes.
So what will happen? What will you do with that info?
So you see, we want to have that information. When you approach us, we can see that this guy at some point had a loan with this institution and defaulted. And that's the next topic that Andrew will be taking us through. Then as an institution, how do we mitigate ourselves? Because yes, this guy, yes, at that point, he defaulted a loan with this XYZ institution. Along the way, he made good of his account. Now he's a good person. He wants to borrow from us. Taking into the account that there is that history, that bad history. So as an institution, we are at risk if we decide to treat him like the way we are treating the A student, the person who has a credit scoring of an A. So what are the mitigating factors that we need to put in place just to make sure that in the event that this person again defaults our facility, we will not end up losing our money?
We've just come, or we are actually still in a very dicey place where COVID-19 has left businesses gone down. It has left when we go back to the quadrant, there are 3 people.
Yes.
You know, there's that middle income. Is that guy who's the middle income there, who was I have a job, I have a job, I have kidogo money coming in, but we've been told at work 30% is gone, and to some, most unfortunately, no more work. So this person had taken a loan from one of these money apps.
Yes.
And we have now hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people who are finding themselves in this CRB.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, this person starts waking up and they're moving on.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know? And now, genuinely, they need money. So what will happen to all? It's the whole country. As Kevin was telling me, they'll start their own government. Because there are so many.
Yeah.
You know, Mike, what I would want to share with our viewers, institutions don't operate in a vacuum. Yeah?
Yes.
And the people who run institutions are run by people. Us, and we interact with you as our customers. All institutions globally. So the most important thing when for example, we are going through a pandemic like the one we have been going through, or any other for whatever any other reason that is there, that is affecting you not to service your obligation, be it with us, be it with any other financial institution. What you're meant to do is approach your institution, present your situation, and then definitely the institution will consider what options are there. And some of the mitigating factors that we saw, even coming from our government, is that the central bank, the governor CBK, directed that all financial institutions to suspend listing their customers for failure to pay their obligations. And we equally advised our customers, what you need to do, approach us, explain to us, this is my situation. I used to earn 100,000, now I'm earning 30. My loan repayment obligation every month was 25. I can only afford 10,000 right now. And what we did, and even all the other financial institutions, we restructured their facilities.
Okay.
Yes. So the most important thing is, whatever institution that you're engaging with, just engage them, present your facts, and look for a solution, and definitely they'll give you one. Yeah.
Help me, Andrew.
Yeah.
Let me go back to now borrowing. We have a person who's borrowing because Vashas is coming. I need 200 Gs to go and happen.
Okay.
So I go and I'm told, by the way, you can actually take 1.2. And wholeheartedly and very happy, grinning from year to year, I sign in and I take the full 1.5.
Yeah.
I only needed 200,000 to go and have fun.
Exactly.
Then there's another one who comes in, knows exactly what they want, but they've not laid down the structures. But they go and they're told, by the way, it's true, you can actually borrow 2 million.
Yeah.
This ABC, and there's another one who, you remember when we discussed about one who comes from home, does not know where they're going.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the plan.
And even the plan. So they come, go around the whole day and then go back home.
Yeah.
There's another one who knows what they want to do, but they don't know how to get there, that do not have a plan. And there's the other one who knows exactly what they want. They have their goal and they have a plan. Explain to us about this, and most importantly, borrower A and borrower B. These two who are borrowing. There's one who knows they have a goal, but do not know how to get there.
Yeah.
So they know that they want to go to Malindi, but they don't know how.
Yeah.
They know they want to go to Kakamega, they don't know how.
Yeah.
So they come out and any road,
they'll just fall.
Yeah. Talk to us about these two borrowers.
Okay.
Because they're there. There are so many who are borrowing to do a wedding.
Very true.
Others are borrowing, to do these big things.
Yeah, so this speaks about these people I'm talking about on the left. That's why you should be able to connect everything I've been teaching. Okay? So what this tells you is, number one, mindset. What character are you building from this? That's the first thing you need to understand. My personality, and you cannot lie to yourself.
Yes.
So if you want financial freedom, you have to make sure you're one of these. Now, this will serve you better because they'll start calling you. And when they call you, when you get to this character, you're not just going to accept it. Because why am I taking it? Because you're always driven by growing assets. So if you don't have any asset you're thinking about and they're offering you 2 million, you'll say, okay, what's the name of the institution? What's your name? Okay, I'll be in touch if the need arises. But these are the people who'll be like, mnaniongezea hata ingine mita juu, later. Yeah, that's the reality of how things are. So all this is connected. Now these people, you'll find them, they're very skewed towards that neighbor number 3 we talked about. Because everything fits together. These are people who, they understand if I return it early, I'm building something that in the future is going to allow me even to borrow more. Because the more you repay earlier, our friend will keep increasing the limit of which you can take. Because now they're trusting you more and more. And this is the secret the wealthy know. So they've structured to do that. Imagine if you learn this thing at high school and you start building that to a point whereby when you're getting to the 18 years age, where you're getting your ID and you're opening your first account, you start a small side hustle. You borrow money, you pay here. You've already established yourself. Second time you borrow, you pay the same thing. Wow, who is this guy? Third time, calls will start coming in. It will get to a point where now you're just thinking about ideas now, because you know the money is not the issue.
Money will come.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's just about ideas.
And remember, when you're thinking about ideas, what you think about?
You attract.
But these guys will be, sasa pesa itatoka wapi? So they think about money, then the ideas should come later on. And that's why people go wrong. If you focus with assets and you build this character, naturally, money is going to find itself to you. All right? So these ones we're looking at, the neighbor we called 3. People who not only know where they're going, but they plan and they have options, which is the best route I can take given the circumstances that surround me. And if this fails, I have a plan B around this. All right?
Yeah.
So that is basically a nutshell around good and bad borrowing.
Good and bad borrowing.
Yep.
So when do I come to a point where you then now ask me about all these risks? How do I take, I'm getting into farming.
Right. So now, having understood that now, we're trying to connect all these things. And now we want to talk about risk management. So before we understand what risk is, the best way, there's so many definitions of risk depending on the discipline, yeah? But today I want to focus from a financial education point of view. So the question becomes, number one, is this. So what is your goal or your goals?
Okay.
What do you want? And we realized many people don't even know where they want to go. Okay? Number two, once you understand what your goals are, you ask yourself, what can hinder you from achieving them? Okay? So what can stop you
From achieving those
From
goals.
achieving the goals.
Okay? Now, for someone who does not know where they want to go, they're not going to ask themselves the second question, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Now, the third one will be, do I know what they are? Okay. Then finally, 4, if I don't know, what can I do?
Okay.
And this is where now risk management comes in. Okay? So we define risk as an event. This is from a financial education point of view. So it's an event that can endanger us reaching our goals. So any event that can occur that can stop us from reaching that goal, that is what we're defining as risk.
An example are the effects of COVID.
Yes.
Okay.
Precisely. Okay? Now, risk management now is whereby you ask yourself, risk management is increasing the chances of you achieving that goal, even if that event occurs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you got that point? All right? So someone who sits down, having come up with these goals, is going to ask himself these 4 questions. And what's going to happen, because you engage in your mind, you'll start seeing where the problems can go. But there are times where you do not know how things are going to turn out.
You've started a business,
Yes.
but you don't know how.
Exactly.
things will
So you
turn
don't know how things are going to turn out, right? So when you crack your mind to try and think of where things can go wrong, you're following this process. So you know events are going to happen. So there are 4 ways of how you can actually do your risk management. The first one we say is avoid the risk. Okay? So you find ways of how will I dodge. The second one, we call it mitigate. So mitigate basically means, when it happens, I need to do something that is going to reduce the impact of it. Okay? The third one is we say you transfer that risk.
Okay.
So what you're basically doing there is you're getting rid of it by paying someone to onboard that risk. And this is where insurance comes in.
Okay.
Okay? But for you to do that, you need to pay some small amount of money.
Yeah.
Okay? So in the insurance space, they call it premiums. Now, number 4 is you accept it. And this
Accept the risk.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And this is my favorite.
Accept.
Some people will say that's being lazy.
Kubali ishe.
Yes. But what you do here is you do your math. And you do your math and you get to a point where you say, nimekubali. So the fact that you're accepting that, it gives you that peace.
The relief.
The relief. Okay? That's what happens. It's just like having, a very thorny relationship, and you're wondering, should I let go on? The day you say, okay, kumenda vile kumenda, you've accepted. You realize most people have that peace. So it's the same thing. So these are the 4 ways of how you can mitigate your risk. Okay? So the advice is, whatever goal you have, you've chosen the path you've gone, or the roadmaps you've come up with, achieving the goals that you want to build your wealth, you need to sit down and start writing down what you think can go wrong. That's something most people don't do. And let's look at this example. Let's go to the quill business.
Yes.
Okay, so it came up and everyone's like, you're missing.
Yes.
Did people ask themselves this question? What was the goal of people going for it?
Quick cash.
Quick cash.
Yeah.
Okay, so the goal is quick cash. Let's go to the second question. What can stop you from achieving that? Did people ask themselves that question?
Nah.
You see how everything fits together? Because now when you start asking yourself these questions, it makes you to start think, by the way, do I even know what this thing is? What is quill?
What is a quill?
Automatically. And this is the problem most Kenyans keep getting scammed day in, day out in the investments.
So do I know what they are? Well, right now, the biggest scam in the country currently is a scam where people have been conned billions.
Yeah.
I think they are to a tune of about 10, 15 billion,
Right.
where they decided to go into greenhouse farming. Come, I'll give you
Yes.
an eighth, and this is what is going to happen. This is how much you'll be getting within 3 months.
Yes.
Then whoever is telling you about, I'm going into it, do I know what it is?
Exactly.
Do I even know what a greenhouse is? Have I even been to one?
No.
But quick money.
Exactly. So because you're rushing here, you're not being rational. A rational person will go through, and that's why risk management is very key. Just these 4 questions can save almost half of Kenyans from scams.
Risk management, please. Is it just for institutions, or can I do it for personally, as an individual?
Everything is risk. From the moment you wake out of your bed, you can fall down and break your leg.
So I'm risky.
That's not an institution, it's
Yeah.
you as an individual.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So it applies to both institutions and both individuals. I mean, any place you're removing money to put it, there's a risk you're going to lose it. All right? Right now, last week we had a question around cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
If that person is watching, I want you to follow this. Do you know what cryptocurrencies are? Or you just want to hear me tell you, yes, invest and you put your money? That's a wrong way of investments. So one of the rules I'll be teaching next week under investments is never put your money in something you do not understand, irrespective of what you hear other people say. As long as you do not have the basics of how it works, don't put your money there.
So Mike, there's also a risk in not doing something that you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
For
There's a
example,
risk again.
there's a risk of not planning.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yes.
Exactly.
It's one of the biggest risks. In fact,
Failure
there's a
to
guy
plan.
called Warren Buffett. He says that the risks comes from not knowing what you're doing. All right? That's a very big statement. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. So these people are going to the quail. Do they know what they're doing?
You don't.
These people who are going to invest in those greenhouses, do they know what they're doing?
No.
And see where they are today.
There
are no shortcuts in this world. So to save yourself, follow these steps. Now, once you follow these 4 steps, these are the 4 ways of how you can tackle the risks which you can actually see. So whether it's a business or whether it's something individual as yourself, okay? So you can think about, is there a way I can avoid it? Okay? Is there a way I can mitigate it? Is there a way I can transfer it? Is there a way I can accept this? And so I want to show you a framework that is normally used in risk management, and it's a diagram that looks like this. Okay? So on the x-axis, we have impact. And on the y-axis, we have probability or frequency. Okay? Now, the higher the... So take anything you're thinking about, an event that can happen. So you ask yourself, this event which I think can happen, what are the chances of it occurring? Let's say on a scale of 1 to 5. Okay? So if it's higher, you ask yourself, what about the impact? If it happens, what will be the impact? What will be the consequences? If both of them are very high, okay, what that tells you is the risk here is too high.
Okay. If both of them.
Yes. Yeah. So in mathematic terms, you can have maybe 0 up to 5, 0 up to 5. Maybe this is 2.5, this is 2.5. So you rate it.
Okay.
I think it's about 3, the probability of it occurring. And the chances of it occurring, the impact of it will also be 2.5. So you're looking at 2.5 and 2.5. So it lands here.
So it's high.
It's high.
Yes.
So you ask yourself now, what do I do with that? Then you reflect back to those 4 things I talked about. Now, if it's the probability is high and the impact is low, you will land here. We call this medium. If the impact is high and the probability is low, you'll also have medium.
Okay.
Are we together? But if both of them are actually low, then we have L standing for low. So this is how you assess your risk, depending on what you want to achieve. So if it's too high, you go through the 4 things I talked about and you ask yourself, how can I reduce it to bring it here?
Okay.
So can you, number 1, avoid it? Number 2, can you mitigate it? Can you transfer it? So use those 4.
Okay.
Yes.
So, because I'm seeing so many other people asking questions, and I'm sure soon we'll be winding up. Then, by the time I'm coming to Metropolitan,
Yes.
do you take me through the risks? Like, for example, when I come and you tell me, okay,
Yes.
go and bring us your plan. Let's see that plan on
Yes.
what you want to do. So do you then apply the risks you see in there, or what happens?
Okay, I'll say with the short term, especially the short term loans, we don't really bother so much going through all this. Though Andrew, as he winds up, he's also going to take us through what are these some of the other things that we look at when we advance in credit to our customers. Besides, only looking at the character, the other things that we look at, like collateral, and those and all other those things. But when it comes to long-term loans, we seriously need to understand what is it that you want to achieve. What security are you going to provide to us, so that again, as an institution, we can make sure that we're able now to reduce the risk, either through transferring that risk by way of insurance, or maybe we can mitigate it. We can ask maybe security, and all those other things. So when you present a plan to us and we are not satisfied that this proposal or investment idea that you have, it's a good one, then we can try and see how maybe we can advise you to work on the risky areas as a way of trying to reduce the risk exposure which definitely will not work in your favor as well as in our favor. Or we can try to scale down whatever request that you have. If, for example, you wanted to achieve, you wanted to invest, say, some 2-3 million, we can first scale down your request to, say, about $1 million. We give you certain conditions. When those conditions have been met, then now we can now arrange to release the remaining bits.
The remaining balance.
Yes.
You know, the reason why I'm asking this, Kibe, is because you brought about the quail business.
Yes.
I mean, everybody ran to the quail business. There are those who ran to the quail business purposely.
Yeah.
There are people I knew who are bringing those hatchery machines from Dubai and all over the country.
Yeah.
They were, bring your eggs, we hatch them here.
Yeah.
So that way we have more quails and all this happening. Then there are those others who went into the business purely to build for it.
Yeah.
Now, I like giving example with myself.
Yeah.
Because there are people who are getting into businesses because others are thriving in them. You get?
Yes.
In a place, that's where they have so many people. So an M-Pesa would also do good.
Yeah.
Look at all the chemists we have in this country. There are so many. Every corner you take, there's a chemist. Forget chemists. Car washes.
Yeah.
We have 1,010,000 car washes.
Correct.
Every corner you take, there's a car wash. You know, a really nice car wash. So I give an example with myself. So I'm seated again, having a pint with this friend. And this friend brings up a very nice topic. And the topic is rabbits.
Yeah.
Rabbits are doing very well. In fact, they're doing so well to a point that a liter of rabbit's urine is costing a lot of money. And I'm a little bit interested after taking another sip of my frothy waters. I'm interested, so what do they do with rabbit's urine? And he tells me it is the most natural organic fertilizer you can ever get. And I pause a little and I take a sip. And I'm thinking, so if I have about 3,000 rabbits, how much urine?
Yes.
How much urine will I collect?
Yeah.
And I know my mom is watching.
Yeah.
So, so I hurriedly get a plan from this gentleman on how to build a rabbit house and everything.
Yeah.
And then within the village, 2 villages away from mine, there's another young man who's selling rabbits.
Yeah.
And recently, I found that young man somewhere that I would not mention, who's selling rabbits. So I go and clear all his rabbits.
Yeah.
Why? Because I got some money from my bank, from my institution, that you know, had what I was going to do. I'm getting into farming. You know, I'm just telling them I'm going into farming. Then, because now it's when it's making sense when you bring back now the risks, the steps, the 4 steps.
This one, yes.
Do I know what they are?
Exactly.
So suddenly, the rabbits I got were not the top grade, and 2, they started getting this disease that the rabbit would, the fur was coming out and everything. So all in all, I lost a cool, say, 1 point something within that rabbit thing.
Right.
But why did I do it? Is because a friend of mine said how much it is bringing in.
Exactly.
So to a viewer who's watching tonight, what as I'm going through these things, if a business is doing good for Benson, does it necessarily mean it's going to do good for me?
Okay. And that's so interesting because remember my parting words last time. If you do not design
your own path,
what will happen?
You'll fall into other people's.
Follow into other people's paths.
And that is why it's very important to start from the end, work backwards. I'm not saying it's bad to listen to other ideas. But once you get that spark like you did, Mike, the next thing you're supposed to do is, sounds good to me, Now let me take my time and do my research. That is something most Kenyans don't do. Okay? So he's told me I can make this amount of money. How true is that?
Research.
Okay? So he sells here, there. Go find out, is it true? Secondly, now that I've confirmed that that is true, how many types of rabbits are there? You could find probably even the ones you had, they're not producing what he was talking about, right? So when you research, it starts giving you, a way of, so that by the time being you're coming to sit down and saying, now I'm going for this, you've actually done your homework, all right? So if it's diseases, you'll have done the research. This can happen. What are the risks? Okay, with the first eye coming out, are the diseases, like chicken, I know a lot of people have really burnt themselves by simply not just following this. So these are very good guide to take people. And I'd like to add something from what Bonasio has mentioned. And I'd like you to think about these three people. Now, this guy comes to ask for a loan with no, let's say it's a business, no business plan, okay? So no plan. This guy comes with a plan, business plan, okay? The third one, but no risks addressed in that business plan. And I can guarantee you for fact, even if you go right now and Google, the samples of business plans you're going to find there, you're not going to find this thing.
Risks.
In them.
Yeah.
Now the third one has a plan, and this guy has gone ahead and articulated the risks that he can see in the business and demonstrated the ways of how they're going to
be addressed.
Okay.
So this has a risk plan also. If you're seated in his shoe, which person would you listen to?
Of course, the third one.
The third one.
It's as simple as that.
Yes.
And so all this knowledge is what I want the viewers to see. Those who've retired, those who are about to retire, those who are working, and the young ones, collect all this knowledge and make use of Metropolitan National Sacco.
Sure.
You won't go wrong.
Sure.
So, before you get into anything, get to know it.
Yes.
Know what it is.
Yes.
Know how to go about it.
Yes.
And know the outcome from back.
Work backwards.
Because
if you go with this document to him, he has no reason whatsoever to say no. As long as you're taking this and you have built your character around A. Let's not forget that. You can't be in D and you come with this. There's a question you also asked that was very interesting. Yeah? You see these people you're calling D here. I want you to imagine yourself seated also in your seat. Okay? We've talked about people defaulting and ignoring. As in Sombili too. Okay? Now, you find yourself, you've started working and you've been promoted, so you've gone to a certain level now, you head into those positions where they require it. So an advertisement comes up and you go place and you're called. So you go, you pass your interviews, then you're told, okay, one of the prerequisites is we need a CRB clearance certificate. So you go ask what it is, you find out you're blacklisted, now you're panicking. So you try quickly borrow somewhere else to try and cover that track. What is driving you to cover that track? It's the work. Okay? What you forget is there's a history behind you. I mean, if you're seated somewhere as Bonasio, and you can see I was listed because of 200 shillings, what will you think of me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get? And that's why Bona Benson talked about institutions are run by people. So the fact that you've cleared CRB, as much as your name is going to stay there, it does not mean they're not going to listen to you. So it's about you presenting yourself.
Yeah.
But now when you're presenting yourself and we can see you're listed because of 200 shillings,
Yes.
and we ask you, you've been working for the last how many years? You say 10 years. You've been earning over 50,000. Miliambili ulishindwa kulipa. What character do you think Bwana Benson is going to think of you? Okay? So it's those small things. My people perish due to lack of
knowledge.
That's how all this is fitting in. Yes.
And I know we only have a few minutes to wind up. Somebody says, good evening, Metro Cafe. You're doing a great job and you need to keep it up. Kindly ask Kibe to clarify on the difference between borrower A and B and the financial implications for both. Does not leave their name, but I think you mentioned, though you can mention it again.
Okay.
The difference between borrower A and B and the financial implications. There you've written is good. It's good borrowing.
Yes.
But again, what are the financial implications between A and B?
Okay. So simply put yourself as the owner of a financial institution. And these two people come to borrow money for the first time. We're saying A pays earlier than when you agreed. B pays exactly when you agreed. After 5 years, they come back to you. Let's assume you only have $1 million shilling to, give out as a loan. And each one of them wants $1 million. Between A and B, who will you give?
Definitely is.
So I'm sending this question to the person who's asking that. Put yourself as the CEO of that institution. You only have $1 million to lend out. And these two people come later on, and you have to choose between these two. Whom among them will you give? You will definitely go for A. And the reason is because if they pay you this amount here, and you're anticipating to come here, it means this period here you can do something with that $1 million paid to earn more interest for you. So this person is more profitable to you as a business compared to B. So at the end of the day, I want to advise people to try and build this character of A.
And besides that, just to add on what you have said, there is also the aspect of, the borrower will save on the cost that would have been incurred between October and December.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. I'm told you have to wind up. Thank you very much. But many thanks. Charles Washika is the director, ICT and Innovation Cooperative Bank. He's online and he says, thank you very much. He says very good lessons and thank you very much. So many other people who are online tonight. I'm seeing all the way from Melissa, that's in Texas, says, Rhoda says, very good lessons. All the way from Dubai, Priscilla, thank you very much for keeping it here. Carrie saying watching from Kabete, thank you very much. Hezron. You're all the way from Langata, and many more who are all online. And thank you very much to all of you who are also talking to us on our SMS line and our WhatsApp line 0790 We really do appreciate as we wind up tonight. Your last words to the borrowers who will come to borrow from Metropolitan National Sacco.
Yes.
What is your word for them tonight?
My message tonight, Bwana Mike, is that the story is just the same. Whether savings, whether borrowing, let's kindly focus on building our cash flowing assets. Yes.
Cash flowing assets.
Yes, that's the main message.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, they still need to, those of you who are watching and you've not gone to sign up with Metropolitan National Sacco, I think this is the right time to go and do it.
Sure.
Invite them.
Yeah. Karibuni sana.
Asante. Asante. Andrew Kibe,
thank you.
As we wind up tonight, your word of wisdom. You have painted it to us so well, but your last words to our viewers as we wind up.
So my parting words today are as follows. The biggest risk that you can take today is actually doing nothing after everything you've learned here. That's the biggest risk you can take.
And we remember that there is no rainy day. There is nothing like a rainy day.
Like rainy day. Stop confusing your mind. Be very specific to it.
My so much. Really do appreciate. Just want to remind you again that the wealthy will always rule the poor. And remember what? The borrower will always be a slave to the lender. Which side do you want to be? According to Kibe's drawings, quadrants and everything else, good borrowing, bad borrowing. Yeah. There are those who are on the left, and I don't want to be there. I want to be on the right. Thank you very much. It is Metro Business Cafe. To all of you who have been talking to us, our number remains 0790 000 333 is our SMS line. You can also use it to talk to us on WhatsApp. You can also talk to us on all our social media. Metro, you can also go to Metro, that's where they are. You can also go to Dreamers Club Africa. Dreamers Club Africa, and you'll find us there. You can also talk to me, Mike Njenga, on all my Twitter handles, Facebook, Instagram. You'll find me there. Remember, whatever you do with this knowledge and information we give you here, you can either be that guy who was given a talent and decided to go and hide it. You can be the big guy, number two, who was given 2, went and made 4. And there's one who was given 5 and he returned with 10. It's all about changing your mindset. That's why we bring you this program every Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. so that we can keep on engaging. Thank you very much. Good night and God bless. And again, I will ask you, are you on the wealthy or on the poor side? My name is Michael Njenga. It's been a pleasure.